We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Jefferson? Aye. Councilmember Here?
Here.
Councilmember Putnam?
Here.
Councilmember McMahon? Council President Walker?
Here.
Councilmember Hulsey? Councilmember Steiger?
Here.
Okay. Any additions or modifications to the agenda? Looks like we have a contract with VFH Consulting for consideration. Is there any additional agenda items? Ken?
Could we change A, could we just switch A and E?
Sure. Any objections? You trying to get rid of Richard?
No, but I didn't have to stay now, so it doesn't matter.
Any other additions or changes? Okay. Richard, you're up.
All right. So you go up to the podium, or is here okay?
I think you'll be picked up by the microphones a little better over here.
Okay.
We like to make things difficult.
One of these years we'll have Mike sit that.
Okay, let me get to the page here. Oh, I thought you were kidding when you said you were ready. I am ready, I said to get to the page. This is the last. I'll be ready for it. Okay, so I've been working here for about 6 weeks now, and I came in with no preconceived notions about Springbrook. I had never worked with it before, but I'd heard about it from colleagues of mine. So, I came in just expecting to do a job, and the first thing I encountered was, by the way, good evening, everybody, sorry, was the software making it almost near impossible to do the job in any kind of time frame, just because of not reconciling and issues with getting reports to be accurate, have any integrity with the system. So, and I know that at the time I came, Betty had already spoken with one of the software vendors that I presented to you here by it, and they were coming out, I think, a week into my stay here, so they gave a presentation on a financial software package that's cash basis. And that was the first thing that surprised me when I came to the city, was that we were using an accrual-based accounting software. I didn't really understand. I know quite a few cities actually doing that. I've spoken with a number of them. In most cases, they're doing extra work to get it back to cash. But in a lot of cases as well, they are stuck with something that somebody else purchased for them. And they're, it's like, well, we're going to make the best of it, but they're not out of balance. That's the biggest thing I've done. That for me, was really frustrating, working with the system and working with the staff at Springbrook. They have not been responsive. And they don't know me. I don't know if they've had an issue with the staff, but I've asked them a few questions. I have spoken with somebody, but it's been 2 weeks since they got back to me on my last request to understand why they're having problems with the system, fixing what we need fixed, right? So that's what led me to present this as far as changing to a different software system. And I don't know that it's done hardly at all where you do two in a year, two transitions in one city. But short of that, we're losing so many man hours because we have to do extra work to come up with financial reports that should be a push of a button, maybe review it for a day, have it ready for you guys by like the 5th of the month. And I'm talking about monthly reports. I just met today with Vision, and they are more expensive than Bias, but I think they're willing to negotiate their price. I know some of the people on staff, I worked with them before, and I think they have the better software, but it's not enough to warrant going that high. But before we go anywhere, I just wanted the council to understand that I don't make this decision lightly. I realize it would cost the taxpayers money. It was a significant amount in 2011. But I'm telling you, where I sit now here in 2013, going forward with the software, I don't know how we can do it unless we have somebody from Springbrook come out and clean up everything, and I don't even know where to begin with that. So, any questions about what you've read? I've read it for you. Yeah.
When you say it'll cost money, I'm assuming you're talking just on the software fees. If you look at the man hours involved, Springbrook obviously is the most expensive choice, isn't it?
Right, and it will cost more to have them. And the one thing about the other two vendors, and I know this for a fact, even though they're obviously giving us a sales pitch now and they're trying to be the best they can be, as far as showing us that they'll do anything, they don't charge extra when they come out and help. They help you. I mean, I've worked with one of them in my city and some of the people, and they are not going to cost $3,000 for one day. It's going to be like $200 maybe, something. And they're just geared to small cities, and I don't know. I know Springbrook is in a number of small cities. I'm not sure why. If I could speak to them other than to business, I don't really know. Are they trying to change them to accrual? I don't know. But for this city right now, it's and I know you've had Springbrook for a decade, and also know it's caused nothing but problems. And I could say it's all Springbrook. It's not true. It's some of staff too. You know, it's a combination, but they haven't. When they upgraded you this year, it created more problems than they solved. And that's staff saying that as well as me seeing it. You know, working on those financial reports I gave you last week, which I also found out there were a couple mistakes in there, and I corrected them, and I'm going to give you the summary of that. But it's when you have to go through a stack of papers like this, put into an Excel spreadsheet, and take 7 days to do it, there's something wrong with this picture. And so it's your money to decide how to spend, and I think I showed you in the support document that it would, in the long run, it wouldn't cost the city, actually save the city money, forgetting the man hours, okay? But as far as production right now, we're looking at a lot of things to get accomplished in a short time, and Springbrook makes it near impossible.
I was wondering, do you have a preferred between the two options, that you looked at them?
Yeah, I just today saw Vision, first time I've seen it, and I had a meeting that called me away, so they're going to meet with me again, but what I saw is a little bit better, I would say, than Bias. It's a little bit deeper, okay, but you can't beat Bias being $18,000 cheaper, and Bias looked really good too, and I told them that today. I said, right now, that you're not competing with Bias. If you can reduce your costs, because their service at Vision is number one. I've worked with a few of the people that own the company and work there, and they're great. They're really responsive. And I don't know Bias, but I've heard that they're the same. So right now, if you were to say buy something now, I'd have to go with Bias, because I don't know enough about Vision yet, but we'll see. And then there's also some other considerations. Vision has more, it can grow more with us than I think Bias can, in areas such as permitting software, if we were to go that way. Bias, as far as I know, doesn't have that. So that might be something down the road. So I'm really looking into this over the next 2 weeks, going to bring it back to the next council workshop, so I can talk with the committee first, and then, and staff and I are going to discuss it and then bring back, if the council, agrees to that, we can go forward. And then we'll bring it back possibly to a meeting later this month, at the end of the month.
Since it is quite unusual to have two transitions in 1 year, any thoughts on the state auditor's opinion? Are we concentrating all of our problems in 1 year and getting it actually cleaned up? Are they going to look at that and go, okay, you identified the problem and fixed it? Or are they going to look at that and go, what are you doing changing software again during the year? And they'll be suspicious. Which one?
Good question. I think the auditor, seeing when I will come in here and understanding the change, will look at it as being proactive. Because they'll say, wow, taking on two transitions like that, that's pretty bold, but I understand your frustrations, especially since they've been through this with us. I haven't spoken with Daryl recently. I know Betty has. He's the auditor that's been doing the state audits for the last few years. he's intimately aware of what's going on. And they cannot tell you what to choose, but they can certainly give you ideas that this isn't working. And we've been real fortunate so far that there are no findings. Probably because of Betty's relationship, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I do know that they're getting impatient. We still haven't got an annual report yet. I'm going to be working on that with Betty over the next 2 weeks, but we're 4 months behind where we should be, and it's a lot to do with this software. It's a lot to do with, there's so many issues, I don't really want to, bore you with the details, but if the system was set up perfectly when it came in, probably could use it, but still wouldn't be a good idea because it takes so much time to make accrual into cash. And the staff's been short-staffed for quite a while, so that's just not, made it a harder problem. So you either throw staff at it, you throw IT at it, which a lot of cities do, or you change to something that's more appropriate for the city, in my opinion. So.
Other questions? So, I've got a couple.
Okay.
So with the status of Springbrook right now, what's the risk of transitioning to a new system, knowing that the old system's broken, essentially? Because I saw in the estimate that it takes the Springbrook data, and then part of the cost is they'll transfer the data over. What's that risk if that data's not good?
I asked them today, that's good that you asked that. I talked to one of the gentlemen today about that. And I said, can you guarantee me that you can bring everything over and that it'll balance? Because I said, really? He says, no, but we can guarantee we can get everything that you believe is important to the integrity of your financial reports. And what I think he was basically saying is the balance sheet part of it, the accounts receivable, payable, all these assets, the only thing that you should have there is cash. And it really comes down to the fund. So you don't have a balance sheet. So to ask, well, any activity in the balance statement, are you going to be able to bring that over? Probably not, but what they're going to do is bring over all of the individual items, and they won't have a balance sheet. So it'll go directly to one fund in the revenues or expenditures, and that's it. And one of the problems is some funds, which are the agency funds, don't have true expenditures and revenue. But in the cash-based system, they are. In this system, they're not. So we have to keep watching the balance sheet to make sure we bring it down into the, if you will, the expenditures and revenue, so we balance it. But as far as will they get everything, they said they would, so I would have to say yes. The only risk I would see is that we don't, it still doesn't reconcile, but I think we'll work that out. What happened with 2012 is I had to make a year-end adjusting entry because they couldn't reconcile. We got it down to, I think, 15,000. It was higher than that. This year it already has a balance, and I've had Betty do all the bank recs, and I've done putting all the data from Springbrook into the spreadsheet. Now what I need to do is go look through the balance sheet and see if there's something in there that might help me tie it up. I just don't understand how a system cannot reconcile, but if you put, the old saying, G.I.G.O., garbage in, garbage out, that's probably what's happened. And when they came in earlier this year, Springbrook, and they updated it, or upgraded it, they made some entries that are just, I still don't know what it is. I looked at them and I'm like, okay. And they drew a red line, so this is a line of saying we're drawing, we're making an entry so it balances. You can't do that. You have to know why you're doing it and also where it balances to. That's the problem I have with Springbrook. I asked them, what were they doing to fix an out-of-balance posting? It was out-of-balance, and it was $109,000, so it was rather significant. And they said, we're sending it back to our software engineers to fix the program. Then they came back 2 weeks later and said it's fixed, but they didn't tell how. And I still don't know how. And I've asked them, and I haven't got a response, and I've looked, and I can't waste too much time looking for it. I mean, that might be part of the problem while we're out of balance, I don't know. But to have to battle your software every day, it's hard enough to just get your work done. And I feel for the staff, the ladies have been there working hard, and I really appreciate what they've gone through to try and make this work.
So are we under contract? I see that Springbrook, if we look out at the numbers, Bias is cheaper for the next 5 years. Are we under contract with Springbrook to continue that service agreement, or can we kill it anytime?
I don't have a 100% answer for you yet because I just now was speaking with Amy, and we've been looking for the contract. And all I've received, like I said, I haven't got a return call from Springbrook. I would ask them that question, but I'm going to look through the contract. In most cases, I believe we're out of it as soon as we say we're out of it. we paid through the end of this year, last year. Now, the next payment is due in November. And so I want, hopefully, a decision made by then, we don't have to pay them any more money. But I will double check that before moving forward. And that's, you know, that's obviously got to be answered, but I'm thinking that the way most software companies that I've had experience work with, as soon as you opt out, you're out. I mean, as long, and you're still covered by the contract until the end of the year because we paid for that. But I definitely look that up.
And then with the 5-year plans for the other companies to buy at $15,000, what does that drop to at the end of that 5-year? What's their their yearly service cost?
Well, if you look at year 6, that's what it is.
Oh,
Year
got
6
it.
is 57.6. So you can see with bias, and that's something else I plan on working with Vision to get them to be competitive. So even if they come down to 6,000, we're saving almost 8,000 to 9,000 a year. So that's why I wouldn't recommend it if it was so expensive that it was even or higher. It's got to be something that you can look down the road and say we recouped our loss.
So do we know what we paid year to date or contract to date with Springbrook, just to get an idea of how much money we
This year, what we paid for the 15,736, that was last year's payment for this year. And then we paid over and above that thousands of dollars. I don't have the exact number, but I can certainly get that for you.
I don't know if I want to see it, but I probably should.
Well, you don't want to, but, and that's because of the new upgrade. So we had to say, well, because this isn't working. So we try not to have them come out because that really is $2,000 to $3,000 a shot. So we're just trying to do it by phone. And a lot of times they will just do it as part of the coverage of the 15,000. But once in a while they won't. So.
And then, this is nothing against you, so don't take this the wrong way. But we've had 3 finance directors stand there and tell us Springbrook, and that's why we went with them. None of us are experts in the job. But with these systems, so how do we know one of these is the way to go next? Because I don't want to do this again next year.
I don't blame you.
Forever.
Yeah, and I want to be here, and I thought that would be a good way for me not to be here, but, so I realize it's a risk that I'm taking, but I believe in it. I also know, there's a finance director over at the city of Edgewood that would come over and speak to us if we want, about her experience with Springbrook, and she's changed the vision since then, and she loves it. I mean, she literally comes out and says that, and so we could do that. I could bring you, most of the people I talk to aren't willing to trash Springbrook, but they'll say that it does create more work, for sure. And some of them are like, I wish we hadn't, because the state auditor recommended. One city, Duval, said that, you know, you don't go by what the state auditor says in that case, which I'm surprised they did. They just said, we might be going accrual, but they're not. And I'm assured of that. I've spoken with them many times, and they're trying to stay cash in small cities as long as they can. It just depends on what the, what the legislation does, as far as like the gas, the board, and the federal board for government, that they decide someday that you can't. Well, we would be working with people that said they would change and work with us on that, so I'm not concerned about that.
So these systems, if that happens down the road, could transition?
Yep. Yeah, they're trying to, what they want to do is stay state-of-the-art, current with whatever our needs are, and, keep us the customer. It's interesting because Vision used to be called AST decades ago, a couple decades, and I worked with them, and they had the market cornered in the state, and then they got bought out and they went out of business. And so Bias filled the gap, and then Vision is back. And so they're both competing, and this is good for us because it can help us to get the lower end price, which we want to do. And so I'm pretty confident either one would satisfy us much better than what the cities have to endure.
And do our systems meet their requirements, or is there additional hardware required for this? Not the server. I know one of them has a
SQL server.
Yeah, SQL server.
Right. I spoke with the city of Auburn, and he told me, I think it's Scott, that 99.9%, but he'll go over to make sure that other 100%. So he's very sure, because if we can do Springbrook, we can absolutely do. Because what it is Springbrook is really a higher grade of software programming than these are. Simply has to be for it being accrual. So, but I'll tell you, the staff who's watched the presentations, they're like, we'll go through another one of these just because, especially Pam and Harold. Harold, it's just a real challenge for her to get her job done. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? What's down? 2 weeks, talk about 2 weeks.
Very good.
Just listening to this presentation, it seemed like there's a little doubt in what we're talking about. Is number one is we keep going back to the financial, which is the best financially. And I think that we need to really get some expert advice and kind of overlook the financial part a little bit to make sure that we're getting the best quality. Because I've lived through thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in this city of everybody, oh, what you got now is no good, throw it out, that's gotta be new, that person's out, oh, no, no good, throw it out again. I mean, we have changed more systems, it's been through more ups and downs and not know where the money is, or whatever. I mean, it's unbelievable in the 20 years that I've been on. And we just need to stop it. I mean, it's been a total bleeding. This computer thing has just bled us dry in every department. And we need to start to really get some expert advice. It takes Bill Gates to come down here. But, I mean, make sure that we are making the right decisions. And we also have to look at the monetary end of it, but we need to kind of take the monetary end of it out of the priority. That's my.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.